What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here. Today, top 10 pickups of the year. And I have combined sports cards, non-sports cards, and comic books all into one list versus separate videos, which I have done sometimes in the past. Part of it is I just kind of bought a little bit less this year in some regards, or my buying was more condensed. I mean, I bought lots of stuff, but these are the items that, struck a chord with me somehow, things that I planned on picking up, things that I stumbled into that I all of a sudden kind of fell in love with. Just cool, unique items. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive straight on in. These are in loose order. It's not like a definitive order. My last couple ones are definitely the peak of the list. The first couple ones are the ones more towards the bottom of the list and the stuff in the middle, but it is not like a very strict like 1, 2, 3. I will say the last one that I do is probably my favorite pickup of the year. It's one of my favorite things in my entire collection. So let's go ahead and work through these. First up, a very recent addition and a surprise one to make this list after I kind of work through things. But I really like this card. It is really growing on me. The more that it sits on my desk, the more that I look at it. I like the rarity of it. I like the 90s rare insert vibe of it that you don't see these very often, and it's the Vince Carter Duncan Go Nuts PSA 10 that I just recently acquired in a trade at my local show. Once again, these just do not pop up very often in a PSA 10. Vince Carter, extremely collectible player. This is also rookie year Vince Carter with the 1998. This is like pop 38, I believe, or mid 30s in a PSA 10. And just really excited to own this. I don't know that I'll keep it once again long term. This might not be in my collection forever, but I think this will be a very, very powerful bargaining chip to potentially get into a bigger card or cash out and use that money for something else. So very, very excited to add this one. Anytime you can add rare 90s inserts into your case, that just feels like a positive move to make. The next one is a combo spot. I'm going 2 for the price of 1. These cards are sister cards to each other. I picked them both up this year, and it is the Haley Steinfeld autos from Into the Spider-Verse. These were both Com-C pickups. I got this one first, and then I got this one on a Black Friday deal. I picked this one up over the summer. Both CGC graded, one in an 8.5, one in a 9, obviously, and this is autographed by the voice actress for Spider-Gwen in the animated shows, and then she is also the actress for Kate Bishop in the MCU. This is the base one, and this is the more rare one with the inscription on it with the character. So, wombo or combo pick for slot number 9 here, but felt fitting to kind of cheat an extra card in there and also put those together. Next one, another Spider-Gwen card, Platinum Portrait from Spider-Man Metal. Part of the reason this made the list was just kind of almost the story behind this of, buying a Gambit Platinum Portrait and for a really good deal and within minutes trading it for this card raw and then submitting it to PSA and picking up a PSA and then coming back a PSA 10. I got upcharged on this card. Just all that combined together, plus it's obviously Ghost Spider / Spider-Gwen. This is one of those ones, like I always kind of wanted one for the Gwen collection, but I just figured it would always kind of elude me because they always sold for way more than I wanted to. But the fact that I was able to trade into it, and then on top of that, the fact that it graded a PSA 10 on top of it was just, a win all around. So there is good, clean, raw cards out there to be had. So very excited to add that one, and a very rare one as well. Next up, this one came from the Philly show, and this card kind of sent me down a path of a whole bunch of others, and this card almost represents a bunch of other cards, but it's kind of my favorite one, even though it's the least expensive, but it might be one of the most rare, and that is the 1993 SP Upper Deck Manny Ramirez in a BGS 9.5. I picked this up at the very beginning of the year at the Philly show. I believe that was in early March that I snagged this. 93 SP, you just do not see these in high grade. It is near impossible to get these in a gem mint grade. Obviously, the Jeter is kind of the flagship version of this card. And even though this isn't necessarily Manny's true rookie card, calm down, Victor, the rookie card specialist. In my mind, this is what I always viewed as his rookie card as a kid growing up. So to just randomly stumble across these, it was literally the first table I walked into at the Philly show. And I think I got this for, it might have been like 60 or 70 bucks. It wasn't super expensive. And I looked this up on GemRate's Universal Pop Report. This has a 2.5% gem rate, and there are 59 total gem mint versions of this card across all 4 grading companies. So very, very rare to see 93 SP in a gem mint condition. And once again, this card could have represented any number of Manny Ramirez's cards. You know, I have the credentials and the essential credentials back there that I picked up this year. I almost put the superscript on this list instead of this card. The fun story behind that is I bought that raw on eBay. They're numbered to 25. They're ridiculously rare. Got it in, sent it to PSA. I thought it looked clean, and it was a PSA 10. Like, to buy a card on eBay raw from 1999 and then have it get a PSA 10, especially something rare like that, like, just awesome. I have the red letters Stand and Deliver, which is a super rare card. But this isn't necessarily about value or rarity or scarcity. This is about what speaks to me, and this particular one does, because it just really makes me think of having that card as a kid. I actually still have my copy from when I was a kid laying around. Speaking of chasing cards from when I was a kid, we have another one here. This is one that I kind of put on my wish list for the year, and I actually owned 2 of these cards at one point in time. This one I picked up at the Shipshewana show, and then I think it was a week later I picked up another copy at the Philly show and ended up selling that one at the National. I kept this one, and it is the Michael Jordan Scoring Kings 93-94 Ultra Scoring Kings Jordan. One of his more famous inserts, not the most rare, one of the more popular ones, very condition sensitive. Love having this in a BGS 8.5. Picked this up for a really good deal at Ships. I haven't checked values on this recently, but I think it's basically stayed pretty flat since I added this one in. Like I said, owned 2 of these for a hot minute. Had a CGC one as well. Decided to flip that one and held on to this one. But gorgeous looking card. Super, super tough to find. We're going to dive into the comic book realm for the next few. I just kind of grouped these together to put them all together, and then we'll finish off with the last 2 on the list. Feel free to take any guesses on what the number one thing on this list is. First up, on the comic book side of things, this is one that I've always wanted. Stumbled across it at Heroes Con. Decided to just go ahead and nab it. And anyone that knows, I'm a huge X-Men collector. X-Men number 12. This is the first appearance of the Juggernaut in a CGC 5.0. Great looking colors on this book. There's definitely, obviously, a bunch of spine issues here, but it's a 5.0. It's to be expected. The key thing that I was looking for a mid-grade of this book was the color. That red on this is very, very important from a presentation / eye appeal. The box, still pretty dark green on this one, and that red just pops on this copy. And that's part of the reason I went this direction. I almost bought a 6.5 of this, but I actually like the color better on the 5.0 and the cost savings. So I just went ahead and grabbed this one. Great, great cover with Juggernaut bursting out of the corner there. So that's the first comic book pickup. The next one was, and this was a big one, this is one that I targeted all year long. I really wanted to own one of these. So I picked this one up at Heroes Con as well. I was looking for one of these in a 9.0 or better. I didn't think I would get a 9.6 just due to the cost. 9.8s are super expensive still on these. And this is an X-Men 101 in a CGC 9.2. First appearance of the Phoenix. One of the most iconic X-Men covers out there. Classic cover with Phoenix coming up out of the water with Cyclops, Storm, and Nightcrawler kind of drowning there. Massive X-Men key. Great cover. Very excited to finally snag one of these in a pretty good grade. And then last but not least, on the comic side, this particular book represents about 7 different comic books, because this slot goes to finishing off the Dark Phoenix run. I did most of that legwork at Heroes Con, where I picked up a decent chunk of those to finish things off. And then there was 2 others that I picked up this year, one on eBay and one on MySlabs to finish things off. The one that I chose for this is X-Men 130. I timed the market very correctly on this just by dumb luck. I snagged one of these very early in the year before the rumors of Taylor Swift playing Dazzler hit the mainstream. And I'm glad that I tucked this away when I did, because this book has actually gone up quite a bit with all that nonsense. Very tough grade on this. This one's in a 9.6. These all black covers are notorious for causing very, very low census counts. This is a pretty pricey one in a 9.8, even prior to the Taylor Swift news. But after this, or after that, this book has shot up in interest quite a bit. They're much trickier to find at reasonable prices. So I'm glad I grabbed this in the first half of the year before everything went absolutely crazy. And like I said, this book is representing the entire Dark Phoenix run. Entering the year, I owned 2 books from the Dark Phoenix run, actually 3 books from the Dark Phoenix run, of a total of, I believe, 10. And I knocked the other 7 out all in 2023. And that was one of my main goals. It was something I was really, really gunning for, to get that done this year, and I did. My favorite storyline from X-Men, my favorite group of books, a bunch of classic covers in there. Super excited to get it. Next up on the list, and there's 2 left. So once again, continue to guess for the number 1 slot. This one I picked up at the National, and shout out to Jeff, a viewer of the channel, who tipped me off that this card was in a case. Otherwise, I may or may not have seen it. That is the Ahsoka Tano, played by Rosario Dawson, Star Wars Stellar Auto. In the blue, the preferred color for most Stellar collectors, because it matches the ink. Picked this up for, I think it was either $1,200 or $1,400 off a great non-sports card dealer, and wanted one of these for a while. Wasn't necessarily expecting to see one at the National. But like I said, this is the beauty of having a platform, and people knowing what you like. He knew right away to text me or to DM me on Instagram to say, "Hey, just FYI, did you see this?" And I was like, "No, where is that at? What table is it?" And immediately ran over there, and I made a package deal. I picked up this and the Sarah Michelle Gellar Seventh Sister Auto in a package deal. That one didn't quite make the list, but the Rosario definitely did. This was a big one to knock off the list. Pretty tough to find for Stellar. This is the only year that she signed, so there's not a ton of these out there. She has a lot of other autos out there now. She's in the newest Masterworks set, so people could chase it there. It'll probably hurt the value on these a little bit just because more supplies entering the market, but Stellar collectors, we're a hardcore bunch. We really, really like our Stellar, and we put a large premium on it. Finals chance to guess for the last one, and if you know, we're sticking with the Star Wars theme. This was on my want list for this year of 2023, very high on it, and I actually picked this up very, very early into 2023. One popped up in a Facebook group that I'm in that deals in high-end Star Wars cards fairly frequently, and it was in the price range that I was willing to go after it. So made a play on it and knocked it off early in the year. That is the Harrison Ford Star Wars Stellar Auto. I was pretty picky on this card. I wanted certain years only. I wanted to make sure that the signature was pretty clean, because some of his signatures are not so much. This one met all of those criteria. It's got a couple little minor streaks in it, but some of his stuff gets pretty wonky. And there was I think 3 years that I was willing to go after, because I did not like the image on some of the others. And this was indeed one of them. This is just a base version out of 40. Once again, these don't pop up a ton at reasonable asking prices. These generally go for well over $2,000, upwards of $3,000. And it's funny because you can get his Leaf autos for $400, maybe $500, and it's just him standing there. It's not him as Harrison Ford. So it just drastically affects the value. And once again, Star Wars Stellar collectors are a rare breed. They like to chase this stuff. They want it from that particular set. They are very hardcore about it. And I've managed to grind out a pretty nice Stellar collection, no pun intended, over the years. So that goes into the number 1 slot. I am excited to see what 2024 will bring in regards to items that I pick up throughout the year. There's plenty of other things that could have made the list. Like I said, there's a bunch of Manny Ramirez stuff. There's other comic books that could have made the list. There's other Gwen stuff that could have made the list. I picked up a cool Donovan Mitchell card at the National. I picked up a cool Stone Cold auto at the National. I picked up some Game of Thrones autos. There's been a lot of cool pickups this year that I have still held on to as we wind out the year here. But that's my 10. That's all I got for you, boys and girls. Look forward to 2024. Catch you on the next one. Peace.